to make the background, the first layer, I had to find an image. So I went to Pexels. There are other ways to do this, but Pexels kind of aggregates a lot of other sites. I typed in forest path, hit return, and found this image. Now, there are lots more, and to be honest, I should have looked for, this is a landscape image, I should have looked for a portrait image where the aspect ratio is higher than it is wide, because that's the shape of our poster. But regardless, this is the picture I chose. Clicked on it, and then under free download, make sure that the original, the largest version, is checked, and then download it. And then there's this ad from Adobe Stock, but underneath it, here's the author. Here's the guy. So once I used this and theater loved it, I went ahead and followed this person on Instagram and Twitter to thank them, and gave them credit in social media on both Instagram and Twitter. I did the same thing for the picture of the bride and the typography that I got off of Typekit. So now back in, in the browser, we need to open up this image. So here's our image. You can go to your downloads folder, or I'm just going to say show this in the Finder. There's my download, and I can take this and drag it and drop it on Photoshop. It opens up. Okay, so I'm going to hit Command minus just so we can see what's going on. And there's our picture. I've hit F in order to cycle through to not have this the tabs there. So now I can see what's going on. We have to resize this image. Now pay attention to these steps, because it's important that you do this right. Okay, so I'm going to go to image size, Option Command I, image size. I keep telling you we're going to use these all the time, so learn the shortcut, Option Command I for image size. And I'm going to change, I want the resolution to be 180, because this is a print document. But if I type 180 here, watch those other numbers just blow out. They increase at an equal proportion. So I'm going to hold down Option and then click this reset button. See how it says cancel? If I hold Option, it changes to reset. And now I can deselect Resample. So now none of these are really connected. Well, I mean, they are, but in a different way. 180, whoops, 180. And you can see that the height and width actually decreased. We're going in the wrong direction. Well, that's the nature of this, but there's no resampling. The pixels are all exactly the same. Nothing has changed in this image other than it's now a higher resolution. Now we want to upsample. Option Command I, back into the image size dialog box. Click on Resample. Now this has switched to inches. If you try to type in 6010 inches, I mean, do the math. This picture gets bigger than our classroom, and Photoshop will choke. So pixels, and then change this 3992. Well, change whatever the height number is, and the height is what we're after, to 6010. Make sure Preserve Details 2.0 is on, and our Reduce Noise. Go ahead and click OK. Photoshop's doing a little thinking here. And then we have this incredibly large image. I'm going to hit Command minus and hold down the space bar, pull this over. Next, we need to crop this image, because now we have so much excess pixels. Now, we're going to talk about non-destructive crops in the future, but for right now, I'm going to be destructive about this, because I don't want to work with all this extra. This is a really big file. I don't want to work with all the extra pixels, the information. So you click on the crop tool, and then in this first pull down, you've got a lot of choices here. Go to width, height, and resolution, and type in, making sure you're in pixels, 4227 6010. We don't have to type the 180 here because 180's already been, this image is already 180. So this will make our poster the exact size we need it to be. But it just drops this dead center in the picture. In order to move this and adjust it, click one time in the center, just one click. That gives us this focus, and then you can click and drag. And I can move this. You can accidentally move it. Hold down Shift so it stays there, stays moving left and right. And then I'm going to move this just to about here is where my crop happened. Maybe just a little bit over. Whoops, 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 whoops. Okay, that time I did not click before I tried to drag it. Command Z. Now I can click once and then drag this thing holding Shift right about there. Then hit return. We now have, if we go to image size, we now have 4227 by 6010 at 180 pixels per inch. This is exactly the size we need to fit the marquee that the poster fits in outside the theater. That's your first step, so get to it and do that correctly. Please, please don't let me see you working on a wrong sized image, because everything happens from here. This is the pizza. It's not the recipe like in Illustrator. This is the final size of our image. Got it? Command 1, this is really, really big. Okay, Photoshop does a really good job of upsampling. Doesn't mean that we want to do that all the time. Got it? Have some fun. Whoops.